This is Modern Mindset, the show that picks the brains of the world's leading minds to help you unlock yours. I'm your host, Adam Cox, and joining me today, we have business coach Sabah Ali. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Great to connect with you over in Miami there. I'm assuming it's way hotter there than it is here. It's absolutely freezing. It's winter here. What kind of temperature
It
is
is
it?
quite warm. It
That's
is
it.
quite warm over here. I absolutely love it. I'm originally born and raised from Iowa, so that's Midwest. And yeah, right now it's snowing over there.
Yeah, you've escaped the snow. Good plan. So you coach other coaches in terms of increasing their income, getting over certain kind of limitations, blocks, beliefs. But why do you do that? You know, that's a curious, a fairly rare job title. Not many people do that. What was your journey that led you to do that?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I've been, in my business in the online space for a few years now. I personally started when I was still in college, when I was 19. I'm 24 now. And what I realized when I first got into entrepreneurship is I had a lot of blocks and limiting beliefs that was in the way of me actually, attaining clients and building my business and getting success. And what I realized was a lot of it had to do with my perspective when it came to like money on its own, right? The belief that I had with money, because growing up, my family was kind of all about like, save your money, you need to save. It's not like abundant, you really have to work hard for your money. So don't just like spend it on anything, right? So for me, when I first got into my business, I just wanted to help everyone for free. I'm a very like empathetic, passionate type of person. And so I was like, oh, let me just help you. But what I didn't realize was like money on its own, like the dollar bill, it has no value to it, like at all whatsoever. And back then I thought like, the dollar bill had value, which is why I would, save all my money. So what happened was when I realized the value came from exchange of goods, me actually exchanging my services to help somebody else, like the game changed, right? Because if I knew someone had a specific problem when it came to showing up online, creating content, crafting out offers, packages, learning how to brand themselves online, that was a big problem that they had, and it stopped them from generating income online, right? So if I had the knowledge to help them, why wouldn't I serve them and pay them, in charge for it and have them pay me? So um like for me, that's something I had to overcome, and I see a lot of online entrepreneurs and coaches have those same similar beliefs that I went through. So it kind of just like led me to helping those type of people overcome that as well.
Mm. I think there is a real psychology behind how people price what they do, because some people look at the time invested or the materials and they think, right, it's only worth this amount. But on that basis, one of the Mona Lisa, some of these, incredible works of art. Well, if you calculate the price of all the paint and the hours it costs to actually
Mhm.
kind of do that, well, it's worth, a few $100s. It's certainly not worth the millions upon millions. And
Yeah.
yet, when people move into this psychology away from employee into business owner or into a consultant, then they start realizing, well, actually, it's the value of the impact. It's the difference that expertise or skill makes on someone else. That's where the value lies, not in the amount of time that goes into it. Why do you think so many people struggle to make that transition from pricing their time to then pricing their impact?
Yeah, I think honestly one of the main reasons is because they don't have like the education piece of it all. And one thing that I want to touch on, that sometimes like this is a great example I like to use when I speak on stages as well, and just explain like the concept of impact and branding. I focus a lot on the branding aspect of it all as well. Because a lot of people in the online space, they're just focusing on like selling their products as well, and they don't really focus on the branding piece of it all, which is where you're creating that feeling and experience for your client, right? So one good example I always love to use is like designer brands. So for example, like Rolex watches and like Louis Vuitton bags, right? The actual product itself, the material, it's probably not that expensive, right? People don't really buy those products because it's made out of like, leather, or like, the type of material the watch is made out of. but people buy it because of the identity that they're actually receiving, right? It's because of status. Now, if you actually understand that people are buying into your products because they're creating a new identity, like the game changes, right? Like that's why people are buying your products. It's not because like, you're offering coaching programs and like, coaching calls and like video courses. That's not why people are buying it. It's a whole transformation that they're actually getting and receiving. So that's, I think, for me, why also like the majority of my business is branding. And that's what I teach because that's missing in so many people's businesses.
Mm. Yeah, it's creating the change at the identity level because the thing itself, you can tell the time in so many different ways. People can check their time on their phone or anything. But I know a few people and they'll deliberately, have a selfie with their Rolex on in the background because it represents the change of who they've become, if that makes sense. It's the fact that they are someone that has a watch like that or that they can afford a watch like that takes on the new identity. And if they had just a standard watch, then it doesn't really tell the same story. So people associate the meaning rather than the thing itself. In
Mhm.
terms of the journey that people go on, what does it normally take for someone to reach the point where they are willing to make a shift with a core belief? Is it that they're inspired by someone else, or is it that they're frustrated from the consequence of sticking with their current belief?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, honestly, it really depends on the person, what type of journey that they're going through. But if I were to lean towards one more, it would probably be more inspiration. Because for me personally, like I've worked with a lot of mentors and coaches, and like also I've been through a lot of programs to help me build my business. And what I realized is if you see someone else successful in the field that you're in, it shows you that it's possible for you as well, right? So that's also one of the reasons why when I'm creating content, something that I teach is storytelling, right? It shows somebody that the transformation that they want is possible for them too. A lot of the times when people are kind of like frustrated and they're at that stage in like their business or in their career and in their life where they're just like stuck, sometimes people go the negative route and they kind of just give up versus going all in and actually pushing through like the blocks that they're having. So for me, like I've been through times in my business where I'm just like so frustrated, and for me, I'm not that type of person that will just like push through it. I need that sort of like accountability and support to guide me through it. So that's where like that coach or mentor inspiration came in, because hey, they went through the same thing, they overcame it, and these are the steps that you need to take. So it's much more possible for that person to like visually see it if someone's been through that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the social proof. It's the evidence that it's possible. And I think
Mhm.
if the belief is that you're not sure if it's possible, then when you've got
Yeah.
undeniable proof, well, then that creates the belief system or the conviction. In the world of coaching, consultancy, a lot of it is about content creation, and the power of that content can be incredible, but equally it can have no impact whatsoever. And I think sometimes there's a bit of a strange kind of balance, a dichotomy of, well, do I create this content and get it out for free, or do I charge a premium for it? And what I found in my own experience is that because I'm a hypnotherapist, when I was charging, let's say, must be the equivalent of about $30 for a hypnosis download, I was getting no orders whatsoever. When I did the same content, put it on a podcast for free, I didn't make any money for that content, but now I get lots of clients of people wanting to work with me because they hear my content, if that makes sense. When you're working with people, how do you get the balance right in terms of what to charge for and what to give away for free?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I really focus on a high ticket is because people value what they're getting in a bigger like package and a bigger offer. So what I realized early on when I first got into coaching was I went through that phase when I was charging low ticket. Like I was selling like $30 products, like $97 products. And what I realized was I was attracting people for one that just like they wanted the information, but either one they would buy it and they wouldn't do the work and they wouldn't implement, or I was attracting people um, where they didn't necessarily feel like they got the value out of that product. Like those were the type of people where they just kept like wanting more. Like I felt like I should have charged thousands of dollars because they needed so much support and guidance versus someone else that now I'm charging like, 5,000 or 10,000. And they're at that stage where they know they need the help and they're capable of implementing what I'm teaching them. So when I work with my clients, like a lot of them, they're kind of in this stage where they're charging by the hour and they want to start charging by like packages. If you already know that you have ideal client that has a specific problem pain point, they're probably going to get a bigger transformation from you actually working with them at like a higher price point versus like selling them something that's like $97 an online course, and most likely they probably won't even go through it, let alone like implement the information. So there goes for one their money, and they're not even getting like a transformation. So like, I teach different methodologies and when you should be pricing out like low ticket offers, like if you're doing like a 2-day master class, or like right now I'm doing a Black Friday promotion that's $97. Um, so like for me, every single day I'm creating content that's free online. And that basically, like when you're creating content, you're just building like trust with your audience. You're telling them like what you do, you're educating them, you're inspiring them, and you're telling them a specific call to action to take. So like it depends. Like some people, they're creating low ticket offers like every week, every 2 weeks, every month, that they're not providing any free value. So that's why sometimes it's hard for people to sell low ticket versus if you're doing like a promotion for Black Friday, then it's easier to sell something like that.
Mhm. Obviously, with high ticket, to some extent, people feel more comfortable spending more once the relationship is already there, once they already have an understanding of the person, the proposition, and their values. Do you feel it's important to establish that working relationship with something small before you go in to sell the high ticket, or in your experience, can you just go straight in there and build that kind of high ticket sales from cold leads?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite questions. A short answer is yes, you can sell to cold leads. And the reason being is because when you have a really focused message and you know exactly who you're targeting, depending on like the pre-qualification process that you do to pre-qualify people before you get on a sales call, it should be to the point where you're on the sales call with someone. If you do a great job in articulating their pain point, their current situation, their goals and where they want to be at, and the main thing that they're struggling with. At the end, when you actually share your offer and pitch like your services, like they're at a point where they're already sold to work with you, right? Because you've articulated their pain point and the transformation of the process that your program is going to take them through in order to get to that end result and that end destination. So at that point, like you've already gone through these series of questions. They've already said yes to you. So at the end, the price becomes irrelevant. Like, of course, there's going to be objections when it comes to like fear. If they don't have money, like I need to ask like my husband and my wife, but those are different objections that you can navigate. Like I've had people come to me, they've only been like seeing my stuff for like a few days. I get a call, go through the entire process. At the end, they're like, yeah, let's do it, because they're at that qualified stage and they are 100% my ideal client. With that being said, not every single person is like that. Sometimes people need to go through some of my content, go through my free 5-day challenge. And then, once they actually get to know me, my personality, my framework, people I work with, then it's like a much easier transition that way. But like I I don't believe that you have to, go through a specific like funnel for people. Like they need to buy like the low ticket, then like a 197 product and like a $500 product, and then a send to high ticket. I've tried that before, and for me personally, I think it's just a longer time from actually helping someone with like the problem that they're having.
Yeah, because it's restrictive. It kind of forces them to follow your funnel rather than the journey that
Yeah.
they're on. That makes sense. Obviously, low ticket items tend to be things that are more passive in nature. So digital products, downloads, things like that. What, in your experience, tends to be the experience? What does the high ticket, let's say experience need to be like for it to be a win-win for the person selling that, but also experiencing that?
And are you talking about like the delivery and
Yeah.
deliberative.
What would, so is it kind of one-to-one consultancy? Is it, year-long packages where they get the hand holding? In your experience, does it tend to be a particular type of product or experience?
Yeah, so typically for high ticket, it depends depending on which industry that you are in. For me personally, like my programs are 3 months and there's like a group offer, then there's also one-on-one. Typically for high ticket, I see anywhere from like 8 weeks to like 3 months, 6 months, and then even a year long. And then of course, if it's something like 6 weeks, I see sometimes people pricing it for like 2,000. 90 days it could be like 4,000, and like 6 months 12,000, a year like 24,000, right? So obviously the more time you're spending with someone, the price goes up. But then also, sometimes people will charge like 10,000 for only 8 weeks because of like the value that they're getting and the ROI. If you are in the business space, the ROI that company is getting as well. But yeah, like rule of thumb in high ticket, like the high ticket industry, typically like you want to have a package or offer that's like around like 8 to 12 weeks for that type of price point.
Mm. And what tends to be the hesitation? You've coached people a lot in this area. Do you get resistance when you're trying to encourage, your clients to charge more? And what tends to be the key blocks or barriers that come up?
Yeah, so it's basically, it kind of comes down to that like money blockage that they have. They just don't believe that someone would pay them that much money because they, for one, don't see the value within themselves because they are putting so much value to money on its own. And then also, like a lot of the time, people have this belief that it's so much easier to sell low ticket than it is high ticket. But in reality, it takes just as much effort to sell low ticket, if not more, than a high ticket. Because going back to what I was talking about before, people that are buying low ticket, they feel like they want more like support and they want more like help from you. So like, I've had people like refund like $97 products just because they felt like they didn't get the value. And for a high ticket, like my clients don't need that much support because they're at a higher like level and vibration as well. Because those who actually pay more, they pay attention, they have more skin in the game. So it's easier for you to also get your clients better results because they are committed in taking that action. So once again, like once I educate my clients on that sort of methodology, that process, it's easier for them to ease themselves into selling more high ticket versus, charging by like the hour or all those, low ticket offers that they've been doing.
I would agree with that. I think, yeah, when people spend less, they tend to have distorted expectations. They kind of compare it to other things of that same price, and then that's where the issues can come from. Um, in terms of when, let's say, people are dealing directly with the client, and maybe they still have that reservation. Maybe I'm charging too much, and then let's say the prospect that they're selling to has that, and they say, "Oh, this is quite expensive." Is that all their fears coming to light? Straight away, their biggest fear is that, oh, I'm overcharging, and then they're hearing it. And how do you coach them to actually get over that and feel confident and assertive that they are pricing their product, their service at the right level, so that it doesn't come across incongruent?
Yeah, so I mean, there might be that point where someone is charging way too high. So one of the things that we do is we go out and do market research, right? So one of the first things that my client does is create a survey and send it out to their audience, asking various questions about their problem, their situation, their goals. And then one of the questions that we ask is, if you were to solve all of these, what's the dollar amount that you would pay in order to make this happen? And most of the time, people do put down like a few $1,000s if it's in like the business niche or even like in like fitness and personal development, because those problems that they're having, it's showing up in different areas of their life, not just business. Some of my clients, they come to me because they're not getting clients, they're not making money. But the other problem that they're having is at home because they don't have time to see their family,
Mm.
right? They would much rather work at home. So that investment for them, like a few $1,000s, like if they're making money and it gives them the ability to work from home, it's like priceless, right? So one of the main things is creating that survey so you get an idea of what your audience would actually pay you. And then number two, like look at your competitors, see what their offers look like and see how they're pricing it. Like that's the easiest way to price out your offer. And over time, if you're just getting started in the high ticket space, I always tell people like price lower, like 1,500, 2,000, get a few clients, get results, because that builds confidence and results. And then that way it's easier for you to ascend into much more value, because you're going to be getting your clients more results over time as well as you get better in your craft and in your process.
Yeah, totally. And there is a law of momentum, because once you've done it a few times, then you've got the conviction that not only you can do it, but equally you're seeing the results that you're creating for other people. And then that creates that kind of impact. It's been a weird year, 2020, in terms of, the impact of COVID. What impact have you seen? You work a lot with coaches and practitioners and consultants. What impact have you seen that COVID's had on them?
Honestly, a positive impact. For me, my business has grown through this entire pandemic, and mainly because much more people are online. Everything that I do is in the online space, helping businesses grow. And honestly, in any other niche, when it comes to like fitness, personal development, spirituality, like all of those, like many people are struggling right now when it comes to those different areas. I mean, like gyms were shut down for like months, right? People aren't in shape. They need personal trainers online. People are going through like divorces. People are losing their jobs. They need stability when it comes to personal development. So right now, more than ever, I think coaches and consultants and service providers have an upper hand in the opportunity, because people just need more help. So for me, like when it first happened, of course, I went through my phase of like, oh my goodness, everyone's going to be saving their money and not going to invest into anything. But honestly, the opposite happened, because like they're kind of at that stage where they have no, like they don't really have an option. Like they have to focus on growing their business. If they don't, like, you have to go get a job, right? Like that's it. And even people that have jobs, there's no stability at all whatsoever. So those people that have been on the edge of starting their business, really focusing on their health, like they have no, like it's only now. There's no other time to do it. So yeah, I mean, for me and for my clients, it's been like a blessing in disguise with what's happened in 2020, honestly.
Mm. No, I would agree with that. I think for those people that, have confidence in their own abilities and adapt quickly, it's a fantastic opportunity, because when there's chaotic times, people are open-minded to new ways of doing things, which ordinarily they wouldn't be. We've talked a bit about beliefs when it comes to money. What's your thoughts when it comes to fears? Because there is an element of people worrying that if they charge too much, they could lose clients, and all these kind of things, which are fear based. They're kind of anxiety based. What are the biggest fears that you've seen in people that are struggling in their business, but not sure how to improve things?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the times people just have also the fear when it comes to high ticket is, for one, they're going to lose clients, then also they feel like they can't deliver to their clients. And
Hmm.
that's where the more kind of like strategy and logistics comes in, to make sure that you have like your outline built out, exactly what you're serving them, and like what the actual offer and program is. A lot of the times I just see people going out and selling offers and they have no back end fulfillment at all whatsoever. So that's where fear like creeps in. If you don't have a clear offer, you're getting on sales calls and you're just selling whatever, then of course, you're not going to have good delivery when it comes to your clients. So I'm like, that's one thing, is just making sure that you have like the delivery and the fulfillment in place, so you do feel more confident in what you're actually selling. Um, and then what was your other part of the question?
I guess it's the key worry, the key fear that blocks people from making changes.
Yeah, and then I mean it's just kind of in that state of like comfortability. People are just comfortable with where they're at. I've had calls with clients and leads where they really really want to do something. They really want to excel in their business, or they really want to get in shape, but like there's pain that comes to change. Like there is resistance. So those people that have a really strong why behind why they actually want to make that change, will they actually see that change, right? Like that's why not every single person is like a millionaire. So like the key thing that you really want to like understand, identify is why are you actually doing like what you're doing. That's why when I'm doing sales calls, it's not just talking about like business, it's talking about other areas in someone's life as well. When I'm creating content, it's not just talking about like business, it's still talking about like the main fears and pain points that people are actually like going through. Um, but like I think there's like everyone goes through fear. I don't think it ever goes away. That's just like human behavior. But once you actually acknowledge why you're having fear and the root cause of it, then it's so much easier to like change like the trajectory of it all.
Totally. And I guess if the fear is linked to a lack of confidence in the deliverability, that's not a bad fear at all. If it helps people prepare and improve their proposition, that helps with their own integrity, that helps with their sales conversations because they're going to be more confident and congruent with what they're talking
Yeah.
about. Obviously, coaching other people to kind of sell more high ticket, selling high ticket yourself, that's changed your own income levels. What's the biggest difference between what you thought having a higher income and having money would do for you compared to what it actually does do for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, so for me, like for the longest time, like a few years ago, my goal was like making that like six figures and hitting that 10K month. And I remember one of the main reasons why I actually wanted to do was, yes, of course, I wanted more money to like go out and shop and travel and do all these things. But for me, it was really just proving to other people that like I could actually do it. And when I actually hit that milestone, like I didn't really feel much like different. It was kind of just like, okay, this happened. Let me get to like the next level now. And I went through this stage within my business where like one of the main reasons why I was like continuing to post and like do all these things was for acceptance from other people. Because so many people were watching me, like there were certain people that I just wanted to prove them wrong. And over time, it came to a point where I just was really unhappy, even though I was making tons of money. So I went through this phase in my journey and in my personal development where I was just hurting from past relationships that I didn't heal. So when I went through that, it came to a point where I just really loved like people and I really loved coaching, which is why I chose like this business. So when I stopped really focusing on like what other people really thought about me, and like not necessarily like I still have like revenue goals because like if you're in business, you obviously want to see your business grow, but there is less pressure to make like those specific like money goals because I knew if I was helping X amount of people, naturally more clients would come. And then of course, like just because you're making X amount of money, it doesn't mean like, hey, like it's freedom. Like this thing that people say, it's like, what is it called? New levels, new devils. Now I'm in this stage of my business where it's not just me, I'm hiring and it's like, there's a lot of resistance for me. I love being in the front end doing marketing and sales, and I'm not a big person when it comes to like operation and backend systems. I love to be in control with everything. So hiring and delegating tasks is hard for me. So this is like a whole new phase that I'm going through within my business.
Mm. Yeah, it is. I was given some advice, like when I had a team of 10 people and I said, oh, I'm going to double the team. And they said, oh, it's very different. The moment you get over 10, it's such a different. And there I
Yeah.
was in my mid 20s and I was like, no, 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 this is going to be fine. Like it's all good. But it's a different dynamic when you have more moving parts. And I think
Mhm.
also, for me, the thing that I thought money would give me was that kind of validation, that kind of that element. You're right, of proving people wrong. So I was attracted to the financial goals of material things, which is a good goal to get you going. But the fulfillment definitely isn't in the shiny things. It really is in
Mhm.
the impact that you have on other people. But sometimes you have to kind of get to that point before you realize that actually, having an extra whatever it is that's kind of appealing for the individual, that's not going to do it. It really is on the impact on other people. And it sounds like you figured that out quite early, that actually for you, if your uh, income goals reflect the impact on other people, then you get both. You get the money plus the fulfillment, which is a good combination. If someone's listening right now and they're curious about how they can not just charge more, but charge more and feel confident doing it, feel it is aligned with their belief systems and the value that they're creating for their clients, where's the best place for them to find out more information about you or to connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. The best place to connect with me is honestly on social media. You can find me on Facebook, first and last name Sabah Ali. And I'm actually really active on Instagram too, at the Sabah Ali. If you want to directly get on a call with me, you can go to my website, sabaliconsulting.com, and you can book a free call. We can get on a call, walk through your goals, and see, yeah, if there's any synergy there to work together.
Fantastic. Sabah, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Of course. So thank you so much for having me in.
And to you at home, thanks for joining me on Modern Mindset. See you again soon for more.